All right. Hello, everybody. On this special live stream interview, I have a good one for you today. We are going to be talking about comics, crowdfunding, and creating as a stay-at-home dad. And I have a great guest to deliver on that topic and a whole lot more with me. My guest today has turned his lifelong love of fantasy, theology, and more into crowdfunding success for his comics and prose work. That work includes the comic book series The Following Casework, Legends of the Realms, as well as the Great Commandment anthology. And he also has prose work that includes the Last Heroine series, the Born of Magic short story collection, and a whole lot more. So welcome to Comics Launch, Jack Holder. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing great, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me. I think this is the first time I've gotten a chance to be on the podcast. Really honored for that.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on here. I know you've have been listening to the podcast for a long time, and I've been watching your progress within the Comics Launch Pro community and everything that you're doing on Kickstarter. So I'm excited to have you here while you have a launch that is live. And so let's start there. You have the third Kickstarter launch for the Legends of the Realm series going on right now. Get the readers caught up to speed on what Comics Launch, get the Comics Launch listeners up to speed on what Legends of the Realm is all about and what readers might be able to expect from this book and the series and the new launch.
Absolutely. So Legends of the Realm is high fantasy sword and sorcery at its core and peak, and really the sort of thing that you wanted growing up as a kid, brought in and told by an adult. It centers around a young mage, Camridian, who's just been appointed to the court of Danisfire. And his first mission is go out into this kingdom you have never been in, find new magics, and hopefully create a new miracle. This is the second issue of a 6-part arc. Set in stone, and he's far to the south in the mountains of Sanctade, a bordering theocracy with Danisfire. And as he's crossing a bridge, he comes across a mysterious stone guardian who demands a toll that he cannot pay. And so for him to actually get across, it is turned into a friendly scrap that both he and the Guardian wonder if it will soon turn deadly.
Awesome. And so I'm curious, what were some of the the high fantasy or the influences that you maybe read early on that have sort of stuck with you and have inspired this book and the stuff that you write here?
So a couple of the major influences would be the Inheritance quartet from Christopher Paolini, Aragon, Eldest, Brisinger. That one really helped start me on the path of writing. The Dragonlance series by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. And I got to introduce my wife to 2 movies that really somehow formed so much of my flavor and character. Flight of Dragons and Wizards, the old 80s animated movies. It's that blend of quirk and epic with good humor thrown in. And that's what I think makes a compelling story for me. Can it talk about the great issues of the world at large in these small, personable stories with some good humor thrown in to make the story go down easier?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, some good examples there. I know for me it was the High King series, or the High King and the sword, was it that one by Lloyd Alexander.
The Chronicles of Bredane.
Chronicles of Bredane, that's right.
Yeah, just finished reading that to my daughter.
Oh, really? Wow, that's awesome. Well, speaking of, you've been writing comics and prose for years and juggling your work and student responsibilities along with pushing your creative projects forward. But I think perhaps the biggest challenge yet, you welcomed a child not too long ago. You have a baby at home, uh, one that was scheduled to be napping right during this time. And of course, she picks the one day to change her schedule. But what's that been like? And how has the responsibilities of being a new dad, how has that affected your approach to work?
Uh, Profoundly, to say the least. For everyone, I absolutely agree. Being a parent, being a father is the number one joy in my life, followed second closely by being a husband. Uh, but uh, it is a challenge. I'm a stay at home dad. So all day, every day, I am at least a good 30 to 140% of my time, brain, and mental capacity is focused on her.
Hmm.
Uh, so the last year and change has been figuring out just how to uh, take all these ideas and questions and stories that I've got going on and somehow bring them to life while making sure that my daughter has a really good early childhood. And it's the best I can describe it is a balancing act when you're trying to jump on three different high wires.
Yeah. Um, you know, what do you wish people would have told you before you became a dad, or maybe you did get some really good advice, but I feel like there's no one's able to capture it in a way that really hits until you're sort of in the midst of it. But is there anything that jumps out of mind that is like, wow, I was not prepared for this? Or
Just that alone, and I think every new parent is stunned by this. The hospital literally just dumps you on the side of the street after the after a couple of days, and you're by yourself.
Hmm.
You are not prepared for that initial burst where it's like baby is born, you have like maybe a day or two to help mommy recuperate, and then oh yeah, time to go home, and suddenly oh, this is live. I had no clue about that. So I want a lot of people who are expectant or hoping that uh, you go live a lot faster than you think you do.
Hmm.
Uh, but that being said, uh, with some good planning and setting up, uh, everything can be a lot easier and a lot more manageable and a lot more socially. A lot more people in the community help you, just as long as you set it up right. Which I think Tyler, you'd agree is a lot about doing a Kickstarter as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It takes a team effort. Um, so, one of the things that I found as I would split daddy duty with my wife, and especially during the pandemic when we were not sending my young son to day school and everything, is that by the time I had wrapped my like sometimes we would split work, and I would be spending the first part of the day with him, and then the second part of the day would be focused on work stuff, and it would be remarkable how exhausted, even if it was like even if all you're doing is you know quote unquote playing and just monitoring and all of that, it is amazing how it's a different kind of exhaustion, and then to such like then to sit down and just get into work mode is always could be a difficult transition. What because you are working full days as a stay-at-home dad, and then still having to step into um, work mode to move your projects forward. What have you done to sort of make that transition as productive as possible and as efficient as possible? Like what are your strategies?
A lot of this has been really thanks to I have a ton of stories banked up. Like most of Legends of the Realm, this 6-part arc is drafted, so I can actually uh, put everything together. But uh, it's finding those small chunks where you can just jump on your phone and do some quick email catch up, maybe messenger to keep in contact with artists, and then holding on and just uh, rushing through that good times that you have. Like uh, my wife pretty much is gone for work. Even if she's here, she is gone from 8 to 5. Uh, so it's me focused and getting through 2 meals. And then most times she'll go down for a 2-hour nap. And then I'll be like, okay, I got to get through a couple of updates. I got to write an email or two. And if I have any more time, I just got to keep writing for one of 3 different projects I've got going on. Then be with her until 5, take a little bit of time to myself just to de-stress, and then 6 to 8 o'clock, it's pretty much get dinner and bedtime set up. And then from there, it's juggle family time with my wife and getting that quality writing done. And you look back at it and you're like, okay, I maybe got 2-3 hours of real work, what I consider real work done. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to learn how that you really don't have that much time, and to be able and willing to wrestle with that kind of time constraint.
Mm. Yeah, it's so there's a couple things there that I like. One, I think when you do not have that extra commitment to be banking away and working hard on, putting away projects and getting as much work done as you can, so that you have that backlog when life is going to get a lot busier as a new parent. That's definitely key. And I do look back at my sort of single days, or even days without Cullen, and I have seen how, like, the grind that I put in then has allowed me to take a step back a little bit and not be as quote unquote productive, but still have stuff to rely on, because I had put that effort in when I couldn't. And then also, the expecting the same kinds of output or the same kind of marathon writing sessions that you had in the past is sort of an unfair expectation. You have to be okay with what you're able to give to your projects, given your additional responsibilities. So I think that's some good stuff to note. One thing I will say, like, especially this week, Facebook has just been serving me up a bunch of videos that have been reminding me of what Cullen was like 3 years ago. And he's 4.5 now, but looking at him with a baby, and just like, it's amazing, like how that seems like in some cases forever ago, and then also not that long ago at all. And I think one of the truly bizarre features of human life is how fast humans grow up, and how fast your relationships with them change and evolve as they grow, versus like all of the other relationships in your world that are pretty static. And now I'm, with him sort of going to school for, most of the day now, I've sort of had this adjustment on the other end, where it's like, oh, I do have more time on my hands. Let's recalibrate what I can expect from myself in any given day. And so it won't be all that long before you get to that point, Jack, or at least it'll go, I think it'll go pretty fast. But you've managed to not just sort of maintain, but kind of ramp up your Kickstarter launching and output over the past year and a half. And so, what's that been like? The doing more Kickstarters, doing more launches. What have you sort of learned about trying to increase your output, and then actually, what the revenue that you're generating from that platform?
Uh, so far, that revenue has been life saving for me and my own work personally. Generally, I've done maybe two, on a good year, three Kickstarters a year. We're on Kickstarter 4 right now, and we're going to do a fifth one in December. And we've already exceeded my annual revenue. And this is on top of, I think, next weekend, we're going to get into our 10th convention of the year, which I'm like, 5 Kickstarters and 10 conventions the very first year I've got a baby.
Hmm.
This was totally a brilliant idea. It's something you should do every time. No. But what it's been like has been really, it's helped me actually juggle things. And I think in juggling, what you talk about is the constant movement can actually help you. Like, and here, just being able to say, I've got something coming up, can really help being a stay-at-home dad, because there will be days where I'm just like sitting there, and we've already gone through YouTube, and we've read This Little Piggy 15 times in the last hour. And you're just like, what am I doing with my life? Because you know it's rewarding. You know that being a dad is so important, but it is. Well, Tyler, you were saying this earlier. The dichotomy of, I know I'm tired, but I don't know why I am tired. You feel confused. And so having this many Kickstarters has really helped, and it's gotten a chance to get some really great books out. Will I be doing this again next year? Probably not. But that's because once the kids start standing, your ability to sit down at a computer is limited even further.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I wish somebody told me, is that you'll get into a routine, and then you can expect that routine will break every 3 months or so with the kid. When Cullen started, when he got to be able to climb out of his crib, and we had to transition him to a big boy bed, as you were. Bedtime went from a 15-minute job to a 2-hour job, as he would not stay in by himself, and we had to do all sorts of tricks to get him to actually fall asleep. And that was like a shock to the system. And the ability, the ability to, check your phone, or like while the baby just sort of, lies on the ground and coos, or plays with a toy by himself, like that sort of goes out the window, as when your kid can, tell you exactly what he wants you to do, exactly how he wants you to play, exactly which character to pick up. And so, yeah, it all changes, but it is a good, it is an experience. And the one thing that I can remember, be it like when I was first, early on, in my early 20s, and I was taking courses on writing, or storytelling and things like that. And they talked about the importance of telling, story, is that having something to say with your writing, and having some lived experience. And, one thing that, being a dad will give you additional context, and additional, like, emotional sort of nuggets of storytelling that you can draw on, that maybe you won't have quite as much when you're younger. And so, hopefully you'll see that as well. Um, so let me ask you about the conventions that you mentioned. 10 conventions this year. I saw, I saw pictures of you tabling next to Travis Gibb recently at a convention. But what have you noticed about the convention scene since you've been back to it after like post pandemic, and then how have your Kickstarter, how is are your books that you've launched on Kickstarter, how are they received at conventions and things like that? What can you say?
So post pandemic, it was a real weird experience because it was 2 years solid, and then you have a baby as well, and you're trying to get into what's considered normal, and then you realize with a kid on your arm that normal's not coming back, but you have something completely different. That's wonderful. Conventions have changed. They are not. You're not feeling as close. My wife mentioned this recently. It hasn't felt as community as it used to because of the fears still of COVID that are still very valid. That's going on. But also there's this desire to get out and get involved. I'd say also with conventions for indie comics creators, that you need to be okay that you are going up against fan art and printmakers, people who will literally like just do Stranger Things and Star Wars and anime waifu girls, and mass market and produce them. And you're going to be spending hours just watching them make sales while people will look at your funny little book and decide that they'd rather have Eddie Munson print. That has changed. And right now, I think you've touched on this as well, that inflation has in fact hit the Kickstarter community a little bit when in terms of pledging numbers, but not that they're backing, but how much that people feel comfortable backing as opposed to before.
Yeah, what have you been seeing sort of in this latest launch? It seemed like, or in the past couple of launches, you've been seeing like a higher percentage going with digital, or is that something that you're seeing? Or
I'm definitely seeing a lot more digital, which, it's one of those double-edged swords. On the one hand, it's half the price of buying the physical copy of the book, but on the other hand, you don't have to. If we fund, you don't have to pay the printer for that book. It's pure profit to send a PDF in an email or a Dropbox link. Right now, I've been keeping track, and we're okay. I'm not extremely worried, but we aren't where we were 8 months ago for the first issue, The Floated Dream, around this time.
Yeah. I mean, I've still been seeing a lot of projects that are maybe taking a little bit longer to get funded, and needing that sort of final 48-hour surge to get over the top. But I'm still I'm confident that it still comes, and so you're continuing to push forward and push through. One of the things that Clay Adams, you talked to him a while back and did a comics launch pro spotlight, sharing some of your insights from one of your launches, and you talked about digital add-ons being a strategy that you used to help push your overall funding, considering the large number of digital backers. What can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did you approach that? And because this is, I think, a strategy that I don't think as many Kickstarter creators employ as maybe should.
That's one of those things that you almost need to prep your Kickstarter fans for, because this add-on feature, it's been around for, I want to say, less than a year. if I'm right, Tyler.
In its current form, I think it's been about a year, yeah. But it was in beta for a while, and it was also not clear. Kickstarter only recently rolled out and some creators got like the shock because all of a sudden like their campaigns weren't able to go live because Kickstarter added a thing where you had to say for each pledge and each add-on whether it was digital only, digital and physical, or physical only. And if you didn't have that marked, Kickstarter wasn't let you launch your projects. So that surprised some people. But I believe the reason that they implemented that was that they could show digital backers digital only pledge, digital only add-ons. And so yeah, so I think that was it. But yeah, you keep going.
Exactly. So I'd say it's initially confusing, especially to people who have never done back to Kickstarter before. They don't know about this. So it is a sort of hand-holding, helping them through. But what a lot of Kickstarter creators, especially indie writers, need to understand is every Kickstarter, every new project, you get to put your library in the add-ons feature. I've been launching since 2017, and there were some times in 2018 and 2019 and 2020 where you were like, oh my God, I have to put 30 different reward tiers just to give the options to get this amount of prose books and digital and the like, and you would feel insane about that. Now it's that much more comfortable 12 tiers or so, and hey, this is a great opportunity for you to catch up on one of your favorite authors' works. You can get My Lost Heroines series digitally. You can catch up on the following Casework series. You can get a fun variant cover for Set in Stone, and maybe you want to get The Floated Dream as well. When you present it like that as add-ons, literally are that a great opportunity to jump in and in an inexpensive way, then people become a lot more receptive to it.
It's a good strategy when you're sort of at the point where your campaign is at right now, final week, is to look for some opportunities for where you might be able to focus your efforts and target your efforts to get some extra bang for your buck. So if this campaign has 123 backers, what are the main groupings of those backers, and what kind of offers could you make specifically to those backers that to upgrade them? So one of the things Kickstarter lets you do in the middle of the campaign is you could message all of your $10 backers and just say, hey, wanted to make sure that you saw as a digital backer, you saw that we just have this specific add-on bundle, which is great for someone who is backing the campaign, wants to help it reach its funding goal, and also wants to get over X number of pages of awesome comics and prose for at a steep campaign exclusive discount. Like that kind of focused, targeted offer to people that already have their wallets open for you can be super effective. And you can do that for a couple of different groupings. So like sometimes I'll make that kind of offer to my digital folks, but then I'll also make it for people that are at a mid-tier bundle. How do I get them to go just a little bit higher? And Kickstarter lets you has ways for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna be rolling out some deals for the flash fiction challenges that I was able to do for the previous two Legends of the Realm campaigns. I tried to do a piece of flash fiction with a one-word prompt every day, which built up about 40, 50 pieces of flash fiction, and almost that's almost a full book right there.
Yeah, what's your definition of flash fiction for those that aren't in the prose world?
Less than 1,000-word story. So that is that sort of thing where not only can you read a chapter on a bus ride, you can you can read a flash fiction story on a bathroom break,
Mm.
and still check your emails.
Yeah, a creator that that we probably both know, Frank Martin, is someone who I believe he did a Quickstarter project with flash fiction drabble stories, which is a word of exactly 100 words, and I've seen Frank on the social media will post these stories, and they're like, when it's 100 words, it's like the size of a decent like a paragraph, and just one paragraph Facebook post, and they're very easy to consume, and I think he's been rolling those out just as content to build his audience and to entertain his audience, but they can be very entertaining. And I know when you do something like that during the Kickstarter campaign, it not only gives you great content for your updates as the campaign goes over to give your backers some new reason to check what's going on and stay tuned to the campaign, but as you say, down the line, it can make for a great back matter edition, or could be its own product that you end up packaging together and becomes its own thing. So yeah, very cool. Question came in from Tom Levine. He says, Jack, I have an 11-year-old son, and we are starting to talk about his creative pursuits and possible businesses he can create. What will you tell your kids about how you're running your life right now?
Okay. In that, is Tom, are you asking like how easy or how challenging it is running my life, or like it's that first half of the sentence that I'm having trouble with, if he's trying to figure out like how to improve upon what I've done over the last year. Would you excellent. I just saw in the comments as well.
Yeah. Would you encourage him? Would you encourage him to be an indie creator or to pursue his creative endeavors?
First answer, the short answer is yes. And there are some major caveats that I think Tyler would agree and enjoy. So this past weekend, like Tyler was saying, I got to table with Travis Gibb up in Manchester for GraniteCon. And we actually had a prospective writer who really wanted to become an independent writer. He was talking with me and Travis about what to do to be an independent writer. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So what you need to do is you need to start following Comics Launch. You need to follow some certain creators, really start building up your email list and your marketing chops. And then he starts asking about what I would do with the craft. And then Travis and I again started going, hey, you need to focus on developing your contacts. You need to develop these sorts of things. And he walked away maybe less enthusiastically because he wanted to talk just about the craft, which is great. And Tom, when I was 11, I wanted to write. I read Aragon. I read Harry Potter, and I fell in love with fantasy, and I wanted to be a writer. And my mother looked at that, and she's like, well, you better have a good day job. And she wanted me to be a teacher. And I tried being a minister, and I tried being a teacher. And both of those didn't really work. Tom, I think if your son wants to be an indie creator, that is amazing. What I would ask him is not just to hone his passion, but the things that will allow his passion to also be what puts bread on the table. It's the things that we as indie creators so often forget, and that's why we have to we get to spend time with Tyler James is because we're coming in here so blind to so many of the things that we don't know. So many people think that, oh, if I just have the best product and I just put that on Kickstarter, then everyone's going to find my campaign and they're going to fall in love with it, and I don't have to do anything. And Tyler, you would agree that would be great if that's how it worked, but it does. But it doesn't. So I would definitely encourage Tom, and I would love to read or look at his work. And the best way to do that is to help him find some great business courses on the side as well, and figure a communications degree has become a lot more valuable than it was when I was going to college.
Yeah, it was funny. I was at a farmer's market yesterday, and just kind of walking at the booths, and there was, a lady selling goat milk and goat milk recipes and desserts from her goats, and there was a vegetable seller, and then there was two kids selling their mini comics here. And I ended up having to go and buy a couple of them from them, and it reminded me of they're out there hawking these things kind of like I was back when I first started, little printed at home and staple jobs. And I love it, and for kids at that stage, I'm like, what, go, you just keep doing it, have fun with it. The mom sitting in back there to make change and kind of to support it a little bit. But yeah, like when it gets to the point where you're like, all right, I want to turn this into a business and go forward. It's like, okay, you've got to have not just the great content, but also the in business infrastructure to support it. But at 10, 11, 8 or 9, however old these kids were, I'm just happy that they're still engaging with the art form and they're having fun making their stories and putting them in people's hands. And Tom also said, if you had to choose between prose or comic creation right now, which would you choose and why?
Oh, because I do them both almost interchangeably. I love both. It's weird. I will read traditionally published prose so much more than I'll read big two publisher comics. But right now, I would say comics because of that collaborative effort, and because after some bad experiences starting off my comics career, I now get to work with so many amazing creators. I love the collaborative efforts with it. For your son, I would say go with prose. Prose and novel writing develop so many skills and different ways of writing. And going from prose to comics in terms of style writing, it's trying to funnel it down instead of going from comics to prose where you're trying to add a ton of things. If you're going from comics to prose, you have to develop setting and description and really showing, not telling. In comic scripts, it becomes so much easier because then the script is not meant to really be seen, so it's more like having a conversation with your artist. It feels more loosey-goosey, so you can just relax in that vein. In prose, it's not that it's formal, but it is professional, and you have to treat it as such.
Yeah, but The good news is you actually don't have to choose,
I
and
don't.
you've been able to take both and get them successfully funded on Kickstarter, which is awesome. We got a little time. I want to bust out the fan favorite comics launch speed round. You've listened to the podcast for a while. Sure, you're ready and willing for this one there, Jack. But question number one: finish the sentence. Kickstarter is blank.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can leave it there. I do say this is a speed round, and then I let and then sometimes I let people talk for forever, and then I interject, and we're talking for 10 minutes. Okay, Kickstarter is amazing. We'll take it. Question two is if you could change one thing about the Kickstarter platform, what would that one change or tweak be?
For seasoned creators, I'd give more malleable. Like I'd actually give the Indiegogo ability to have that partial funding ability. I'd give it to veteran creators, so you don't get that sort of scam sort of thing of, oh, I just want to get as much money as possible. But yeah, that I would give that option. That is the one thing from Indiegogo that I would really like for seasoned veterans.
Question three: what do you consider your secret weapon? A tool, a resource, an app, something that you couldn't make comics or do your creation without?
Affability. Being able to actually make friends and make the creators around me feel good about themselves has allowed me to make good and lasting relationships with so many amazing creators. And it's how I was able to get anthologies and comics put together.
Fulfillment is often an area that trips up Kickstarter creators. You've had about a dozen projects launched and fulfilled many a Kickstarter project. Do you have a fulfillment tip for our listeners?
One of the best things that you can do, especially digitally, is put together a good Dropbox folder and then just list them in, like rewards for everyone, rewards for $5 tier, $10. And that way you're just sending people a Dropbox link instead of trying to send everyone a comics PDF, because that can really get screwy for you. When it comes to physical fulfillment, one of the best things that you can do is make a day of it. Have a fun pizza day. And if you can invite people over and pay them in pizza to help pack up books, do that.
Absolutely. And can you recommend one comic or book not done by you that you think more people should check out?
The Arcane Cocktail Enthusiast by Jeff Ryder from Cloud Wrangler Comics. So much fun. Cannot get enough of that series.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for participating in the speed round there, Jack. And I want to wrap things up. Do you have sort of one piece of advice for either the soon-to-be stay-at-home dad / comic creator / writer, or maybe one that's right now just getting started on his journey? Something that might be able to help them keep going and keep moving their stuff forward, even in this challenging time?
When you're as you're starting this thing and you're trying to be a writer and a father, you always think that you're every day you're trying to reach a mountaintop, and every day you're trying to just restart at the end, at the bottom, and try and reach the top by the end of the day. That's not what it is right now. What you're trying to do is you're taking a sledgehammer and you're taking one swing a day at that rock and trying to break it down. Some days you get more than one swing. Some days you get half a swing. You try and just keep doing as much as you can and being happy with that. For writers, my advice every day, try and write one word. If you can make that promise and keep that promise, your book may take a year, it may take 10 years, but it will get done.
Great advice. And as you look towards the end of the year and into the new one, what has you most excited?
So next, as I mentioned in December, I've got a Christian young adult fantasy comic that was sponsored by my church. I am so excited about that. This is I've done interfaith works. I've done books that touched on religion. This one I'm going to be jumping fully into religious waters, and I'm really excited and nervous about that. So it'll be a wonderful holiday season. And beyond that, future does look bright, even if it is not always fully seen. There are plenty of books on the horizon, and more than that, for the rest of my life, I'm a parent. So that's an achievement that will just never go away, and it will never stop being a joy and a blessing.
Absolutely. And so still some time left on the Legend of the Realm Kickstarter. People can connect with you there. Besides that, what's the best place for people to continue to watch your journey, Jack?
You can find me at Jack Holder AI on Twitter, and you can find me at Arcane Ink Distries, INKDUSTRIES, on Facebook and arcaneinkdistries.com.
Well, awesome, my friend. Good luck with the rest of this launch. Thank you so much again for being on our show and for sharing your insights and adventures in creating and fatherhood. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you so much. And thanks again for having me.
All right. And thanks everybody else for tuning in. Until next time, we can't wait to see what you launch next.